My name is Jan Welch, and welcome to part 2 of episode 17 of the Then and Now Blading podcast featuring Fritz Peitzner. In part 1, we discussed his blading history. We talked about growing up in Plano, Texas at Eisenberg's Skatepark. We talked about his competition skating. We dug into the Dallas, Texas skating scene then and now. And we talked about his travels to Europe and South America with his good friend Josh Glowicki. Now for part 2, we're going to discuss his big wheel blading and how it's had an impact on his aggressive skating and just his life in general. Then we get into his shop, Carriers, which is a really cool inline skate shop across the street from where Eisenberg's used to be in Plano, Texas. And we finish off part 2 talking about his severe head injury that he received skating in a Pow Wow competition at the beginning of COVID. We talk about the fall, we talk about being in the hospital, and we talk about the recovery process and how it's affected him today. I hope you enjoy part 2 of this podcast. If you do, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, hit the bell icon to be notified of all new uploads. I have links to my social media in the description below, and I also have a link to my Patreon page if you want to support this channel. Let's get started with part 2 of episode 17 of the Then and Now Blading podcast with Fritz Peitzner. Now, I wanted to move on to big wheel blading. Mm-hmm. Now, at some point, you started skating on big wheel blades. What motivated you to do that? And how long has it been now?
It's been definitely been about 5-6 years now. And what motivated me was honestly wanting to quit skating. It's crazy. Like, not that rollerblading is not fun or good or anything like that, but I hit this like cap where at that point in my life, I had dedicated everything to aggressive skating only. I mean, from my music to everything I knew, like I didn't know anything about anything else besides skating. If you asked me about what happened in the news or anything, I wouldn't know anything, right? And I kind of realized this. And anyways, like I had gotten injured. My idea was just kind of shrinking, and I tried to quit. And it took me about maybe a month and a half to say 3 months, right? Where I just got like cabin fever. I couldn't find anything else that I really enjoyed doing. I tried doing other stuff, and anyways, I put on my skates and I skated around the lake. The lake was 9.5 miles. And I got addicted to that. And like almost every day I would go to the same lake and skate around it, 9.5 miles every single day. And I got an app called Endomundo. You were on there, remember? Yeah. And I started tracking my miles, and like, then I started looking up like marathon skaters and what their times were for like marathons. And I was like, damn, like how are these guys doing that? You know, like, why am I so bad at this? And one of my friends was like, have you seen big wheels? And I was like, what are you talking about? Big wheels? And they're like, yeah, you know, like the 3 big wheels. And they showed me a picture. This was before the shop. And I was like, dude, no way. Like, no, that's not going to help me. That's just a gimmick. And my buddy's like, dude, give them a shot because they actually work, you know? And so I talked to Ricardo Lino, and I had seen one of his videos. Damn, he was working for Powerslide at the time, I think. And I hit him up and I said, hey, really like to try those big wheels out. Like, and I'm planning on skating to Austin. It's funny, dude. The story's funny. And he goes, yeah, that's cool. Like I can answer the questions for you. And I asked him some questions, and then I ended up riding my bike to Austin.
I remember that.
Dude, a few days later, pair of Powerslide Imperial 125s end up in my front door for free. Like Ricardo just hooked me up, right? And then my addiction started with big wheel blading, because the day that I took those skates to the lake, I beat my time by 15 let's say between 10 and 15 minutes. It was a huge jump in time. And I wasn't skating any harder. I was like, my flow was just different. Like I felt like a real skater, you know, like not just like trampling around with little aggressive wheels or something. It's amazing. And then from there, actually, that's like kind of where the shop started, to be honest.
And I remember when I moved to Vermont in 2017, I stopped in Dallas. It was my very first stop after leaving Austin.
Yeah.
And we skated around downtown or downtown Dallas, or where would we
Yep.
skate at? Yeah,
No, it's
it was
downtown
pretty
Dallas.
fun. Yeah, that was a fun skate.
Do you remember we got stopped by those three guys also on rollerblades?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that.
that like that was really like the beginning of it all. So cool.
And how often are you big wheel blading now? I know you're like then you were just big wheel blading, then you started aggressive skating again, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
now how much are you doing like each of those?
Uh, probably like divided straight down the middle. I have a husky, and he needs to run, so I take him minimum 3 times a week, and we do between 10 and 15 miles together. Now by myself, I've been slacking. Um, but yeah, it's still about, let's say, 45 miles a week.
That's pretty good. So you kind of do more fitness on your big wheel blades versus like more kind of aggressive big wheel blading, right?
Yeah, no, I like urban skating is fun. It's actually pretty cool, but there's not many guys who do that. Like a Nick Lomax style, you know what I mean? Like uh we don't have that here in Dallas. Like unless I lived in downtown Dallas, I don't have that luxury of like being able to skate to and from a spot unless I drive there. And if I do, then I'm gonna meet up with more aggressive skaters. We'll just aggressive skate.
And what's the furthest you skated in one go?
Uh it's gotta be over 40 miles. Um for sure 38 miles. I tracked that one. It was from here in downtown Plano to downtown Dallas, but I also did downtown uh Grapevine to downtown Fort Worth, which is like, big city to another big city. Uh it had to have been over 40 miles.
So you did that bike ride from Dallas to Austin, which is pretty far. How was that experience? You said you would do it on skates. Would you actually do it on skates after doing it on a bicycle?
Yeah, I would love to. Actually, I want to do it. I want to do it this year. There's a lot of cool stuff I want to do this year. Um, yeah, it's an amazing experience. The only downside that I can say is if you're doing it alone, it's a little bit more dangerous because the cars, like, I think maybe rollerblades might be less sketchy, maybe. But on a bike, like I remember at some points, like I would have to get on the service road and 18 wheeler would go past me and my bike would shake. But I loved it. Like what I love the most, same thing that I love right now with big wheel blading is zoning out, and like it's almost like a meditation time for me, where like all these ideas will bubble in my head, like how am I going to conquer this task? And then boom, I get these like really cool, like almost like daydreaming, right? But I'm skating or biking. That's what I loved about going to Austin. Like that was like, yeah, also one of my best experiences in my life because I did give myself the opportunity to be quiet. Like I like I like being out and about, and I even go to sleep watching movies and stuff like that. Like I have to have something in my ear. But when I bike or when I biked to Austin for sure, it was radio silent, just the noises that were on the outside and my meditation. And then same thing with big wheel skating. Like it's one of the small opportunities that I have to really zone out with no interference. In those times, it's okay for me to deny a phone call. You know,
Right.
it's cool.
I'm sure somebody like Caleb Smith would go on a skate from Dallas to Austin with you.
Dude, that guy is awesome. He did I met him here. I think I met him here once. He's like tatted up guy.
Yeah,
Didn't he do like it was like a biker only event, but he was the only rollerblader, right?
yeah, Ragbri. Now it's the race across Iowa. Now he's gotten rollerbladers to do it every year. He's done it like 4 times. He also did the one, I think it was like in Tennessee. This year he did a bunch of ultra. He did like every major city. He would leave from Iowa, go to Chicago. Iowa, go to like Kansas City, to from Des Moines. So he did a lot of skates this year.
How many
I
miles?
believe, I mean, 400, 500 miles.
Damn it. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. I might be the guy slacking, but I want, yeah, I would love to do that, dude. I think what Austin was from here to Austin was 200 and either 260 or 290 on my bike though. Like I don't know how fast he goes, but I would love that. Like more than anything, that seems so fun to me. Sounds so
See,
cool.
he did a double century. He did Athens, Atlanta, back to Athens, plus some.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that's one. I think that was the event that I was gonna mention that I thought he did, but I knew he did one with bikes. Yeah, dude. Shit. I mean, I know like he'd be down to do it with me, but I would want to join him and see where they go. Because it's a whole cool aspect of skating too that aggressive skaters should get into. Like every single aggressive skater, whether it's 3x110 or 4x80, they should all get used to skating up and down the street for fun, because that's how most of us started at the very least, unless you played hockey. But it really brings the joy back into skating. Like you don't worry so much about getting hurt. Like you can cruise up and down the street, and it really creates what's that word called, endurance. Like when I came back into aggressive skating, I had so much more endurance. Now maybe I wasn't landing as many tricks as like the best skaters at the skate park, but I can guarantee I outlasted all of them from the moment we started the session to the end, because I had endurance from big wheel blading.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Other than endurance, has your approach to aggressive skating changed at all after riding big wheel blades?
Yeah. It's a slow process. It's one of these things that I complain about, and I know maybe the reason, maybe since I know it's a huge problem, but I've gotten stuck in this old mentality of skating, right? Like I love hammers. I don't like switch ups very much. Like I do like cess slides, and I do appreciate like the new kind of skating, but I'm trying to find it. Like I've been actually kind of looking for it. Big wheel blading, yeah, it's given me like endurance, but no, like nothing like mushroom blading. I haven't gone like too far from big wheel into the urban skating world to really grasp that. Like I recently started doing like more cess slides to grinds and med spins and stuff like that, but not as creative as like let's say Bobby Spasov. I love watching skating. Like that's really cool. And there's another new guy that I just recently saw. I think his last name is Danning or Banning. Martin
Danning.
Yeah. He was in what was that dude's podcast, the Wax Toaster?
Yeah, that kid's really good.
Super sick.
Been around for a while. He's like from Norway.
Yeah, that guy from
Yeah.
Oslo or something like that.
Yeah,
dude. Like I just saw him like 2 weeks ago, which is crazy because like you know, it made me really realize like, oh my God, man, I'm kind of like I haven't quit in a long time, but I haven't really kept up with like the real new stuff.
he's not really that new either. He's been around for a while. No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, like if I were to kind of think of like the newer skaters, I would probably mention like Spasov. you know, or Eugen. But there's a whole bunch of other ones that I don't know. And I haven't quit. I just haven't been watching. Yes. I don't know.
I mean, all the guys you mentioned have definitely been around for a while. So there's definitely some fresh blood. I mean, there's a lot of really young kids. If just on Instagram, you have a lot of kids like 10, 11 years old that are just shredding it now.
I
So
know.
that's cool to see.
I've seen like is it Korea?
Yeah, Korea's got some good little kids. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're doing like 360 souls and like, I mean, they've got it down. The other thing is like, I guess I'll say back in the day, but like, you know, getting a VHS or a DVD, yeah, it was kind of where you saw everybody. Now, I kind of don't know where to look for these videos. I guess maybe Instagram. I don't know.
Yeah, Instagram. I mean, Roller News is back and it has all the videos on there for the most part.
How long has Roller News been back?
I've been back for a while.
Really?
But yeah, you can go and check a lot of the videos on there. But yeah, it's definitely, you know, with videos, you just waited. You knew they were coming out. You saw ads for them in magazines, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I preferred old video format mainly because you watched the video, you bought it, you watched it like 100 times.
Yeah.
With internet edits, you watch them like once, twice, and then you forget about them, and then you can never find them again.
Yeah, they come in.
Yeah, like
dude, I have two right now, just two. Let me see what I got here. Hold on. I got Billy O'Neill's last VOD, and then Fish Guys. Yeah, like that's really it, you know. Like I just recently started following more people, and then to be honest, I just recently started watching more podcasts, you know. Like I just found out about the wax
toaster.
The wax toaster, and the other guy that you interviewed, redhead dude with the beard.
Oh, Tom Moyes.
Yeah, I love his. Like his is funny as shit. Like, and then when I watch these, I'm like, it's cool because like everything, all the people that everybody's interviewing and all these conversations are really kind of going into my head. Like, I know exactly what y'all are talking about. This is cool. So I'm not that far out the game.
Back to big wheel blades. Huh? Have you skated any marathons?
I did. I skated one, and I got my ass whooped. Not that bad. I think if there was 60 people, I probably got 30th place, 29th place. But it was in Peru, and there were a lot of Colombian teams that went out there, and yeah, it was crazy. They got me.
How were you physically while doing it and afterwards?
Tired as hell, man. Like it wasn't. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, right? I do like endurance, but these guys were messing with more like endurance plus speed. So they were very, very like physically fit, like almost like bigger, but like stronger. Like their legs were like huge. You know what I mean? And they were cut too. Like normally you would think like of a runner to be like super like skinny, like tight muscles, but they were like bigger, just like killed me.
I've seen some of those guys before. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like I've always thought I had like pretty strong legs, right? Like I'll flex out, like, yeah, I got this. But like they show up and like, dude, seriously, like a thigh like that, like super cut. And then they got me because they work in teams too. I'll say that. But nah, they whooped my ass.
And have you considered competing in another marathon?
Not after that. No. Like, I don't want to say that I can't, because I hate to say that, but it's almost like the same type of training that you give yourself for aggressive skating. You know what I mean? Like, or anything. Like that kind of dedication of like every single day to like do it plus study it uh I'm pretty sure those guys like will spend like, like close to like a full-time job's worth of time a week. You know what I mean? To train to get that good. I did, so like when I went, I had some power slide swells, I think. My skates weren't bad. uh I won't even say it was the skates, but like, yeah, my whole training, my whole thing was just off. Like they all had like real speed skates, and they knew how to like draft off of each other, and stuff like that. uh and I went there originally with the mindset of like, if I do good, yeah, I wanted to go to the one in Berlin, I think it is.
Yeah, Berlin Marathon. That has a lot of aggressive skaters that go to it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That could be fun because it looks like, it's a pretty big marathon, and I can't remember the guy's name. It's also a German guy. Like I think he skates for Power Slide that wins most of these.
Bart Swings
Yeah,
and there's Bart Swings. He's from Holland, and then there's Felix Rehon, who's
so it was
from Germany.
it was
Those are
Bart
both
Swings.
that's both the Parasite guys.
Yeah, I saw Bart Swings. That's who I was comparing my times to whenever I was like doing the lake over
Well, I
here.
mean, that's a ridiculous comparison.
Yeah, but I was like, I wanted that, right? Like
Mhm.
I was like, how long is he knocking out a mile?
Yeah,
Or
he
how,
did the Berlin Marathon in like 56 minutes.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I was giving myself the excuse that maybe it's a flat terrain and the lake that I go to has hills. But after going to the marathon I went to in Peru, like, I got humbled real quick. Like super, super. Yeah, I mean, I would do it for fun, but I wouldn't. God, something would have to be like really triggered in my head right now to say you're gonna go out there and you're gonna train yourself to win one of those. Like, oh God, I think it's such a hard thing to do right now. Like, it's not never too late for anything, but they I mean, it's like a job.
Yeah, I skated a Montreal one. I did a half marathon, and I did it like 8 months after I broke my back, and it was miserable.
Yeah, dude. My God. It's awesome though to like get back up and do something like that too, you know.
Yeah.
You set the bar real high for yourself, which is great. Like, because then, if you didn't have that, you would probably be like, I'm not gonna walk over there, after doing that.
Well, I couldn't do aggressive skating, with the impact. So I was like, what can I do? And that was just a bad idea because I couldn't lean forward. Like I
Yeah.
had to stand up straight because my back.
Fuck.
Now, as far as urban skating goes in Dallas, you guys do have a group that gets together for nightly skates. What's that crew called, and how is that seen?
It's called DFW Inline Skate Club is the main one. There's another one called Pegasus Flyers, but say the DFW one is the more known one. It's a big scene. They meet up every Tuesdays. COVID kind of messed a lot of things up when it comes to like those group meetups, right? Um, they're still pretty big, but right before COVID, I would say there was probably over 20 people every Tuesday that met up to do 14 miles. And all the people were really passionate about it. Like, kind of opened my eyes to like what skating really is, I guess. Like, and it's once again my opinion, but like a place for people to have like a, yeah, like a group, like a group of friends, like like you're not out drinking, you're not out like doing something that's very common. It's like a almost like a specific thing, like, hey, we skate and we enjoy all this together. So yeah, it's pretty cool group. Yeah.
Yeah, I miss group skates the most living out here in Vermont. That was so much fun doing those in Austin.
Yeah. What, so is it like just really cold out there, or not? There's just not a group.
Well, there's no cities. I mean, the biggest city is 45,000 people, and the other city is like 30,000 people, and that's it. I mean, there's 700,000 people in the whole state,
Yeah.
mainly dirt roads, and we have a lot of skate parks. But it's if I go urban skating like that, I have to go to Boston or Montreal.
Okay.
So but yeah, so now I do want to talk about your shop. So your shop's called Carriers. You've been doing it for a few years now.
Yep.
How did the concept of a shop start? Like what went into planning it and making it happen?
Okay. I guess, all right, the concept and the idea of a shop happened from big wheel blading, right? But it was a little bit before that. Like it was almost like a process that I didn't know that I was in, but I was in it, right? So number one, I knew I wanted to stay in rollerblading somehow, right? Number two, the idea of like having a business in rollerblading was something that I always liked. Even since I was a kid, I always wanted to start a clothing company. When I was in Peru, I started a clothing company called Carriers. Came back to Dallas, sold everything, did not really understand what I was doing, spent all the money, gone, radio silent for about a year, maybe longer. But the clothing sold well. Like I sold a lot of clothing at A-Town Stomp. I think Philip Moore bought some stuff for me, which was cool. Like some known skaters were supporting what I was doing, and the product was good. Like I was focused on like using Pima and Supima cotton. I did my research. The logo was screen printed, not heat pressed, and it was all different too. Like the guy that designed my logo was doing designs for Skull Candy and Vans in Peru. So like, I had good guidance by accident. Anyways, started a clothing company, sold it, I didn't know what I was doing, spent all the money. I just kind of left it, and then got like a spurt of like motivation again, when I would go out skating and people would like ask me, "Hey, where'd you get your skates from?" And I would always recommend my friend in Peru to buy their skates from him. And then he hit me up one day and he's like, "Dude, like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're sending me all these customers. I got a shop in Peru. Like, first of all, shipping to Dallas is expensive. And second, if I made it out here, why don't you think you can make it out there? Like, start your own shop." And he sent me like a whole bunch of contacts and then like ideas too. Like no other reason besides like, seems like you're already doing it, dude. Do it. Um, and yeah, that's kind of that's actually how it started. Like I had been trying to sprinkle like these different ideas of like to myself, like what company to start or what to do. Started with a clothing company. I ended up using the same name from the clothing company for my skate shop. It was all kind of an accident.
Well, the name's good, so it works out pretty well, I think, for the shop.
Yeah.
Now, the shop now you're in a brick and mortar store, but originally you started by selling out of your vehicle. You kind of put some stickers on it, and we're a mobile skate shop.
Yep.
Now, why did you start that way, and how successful was that?
So, funny thing is, once again, like out of same thing with the name, right? Carriers like was just a very bland name. I carry stuff because I still didn't know what I was doing. So I remember when I came up with the name, it was along those lines. Like even back then, I was traveling a lot, so I would bring stuff from Guatemala, Peru, like a alpaca, blankets and stuff like that. So still like the name was bland, worked out. Then when my friend Carlos, he linked me up with Flying Eagle, and of course already had razors, and then these other ideas that would make the shop work, right? Getting in contact with wholesalers. This was after I got the Imperials from Lino, but it all kind of like blended together, because eventually I hit up Power Slide, and it all kind of like one big thing came in. But it all started out of necessity, right? Like I got contacts, but I didn't have money. I had $1,000. It's the most money that I had ever had saved, because I was traveling a lot. So for me, like, having $20 for a couple days was pretty awesome. I'd never thought about money in any other way than just survival. So I actually started on Facebook was it Marketplace? Or I started, I think Facebook had the option back then. Wasn't that long ago, to be honest, but to start your own company on Facebook, right? So I bought like $1,000 worth of stuff from Flying Eagle, and I had my name, my logo already. And of course, just like anybody else would do, I started with my friends, right? Like, got some of them into Big Wheels, and then randomly, like, people would reach out to me about skates because of Facebook and my little network of people that I had. And then when did it really hit? Like, when did it? Oh, then I started implementing the idea of a skate group, because I knew that if there was a skate group, then that group would buy from me eventually, right? So I started one called Rollerblading Dallas. Then Jason Reyna hit me up and said, bro, you don't need to start a skate group. There's already one called DFW Inline Skate Club, which is the one I told you about. He linked me up to them. I started skating with them, and they really helped me a lot, because, the customers would come from there, right? Like, basically everywhere I was skating, DFW rollerbladers too, like those groups really helped me out, because we were all linked together at this point. And it took almost a year until I bought the Element and I wrapped it. Once again, out of necessity, I had sold that $1,000 worth of products, and I flipped it a few times, and I saw growth, right? I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, I could own a skate shop one day. And I started looking on Zillow, like how much it would cost to get a shop, like monthly or whatever. And most of the places I was finding were between like $2,500 a month to like $5,000 a month. And reality was really hitting me, which was, you're not going to have a brick and mortar anytime soon. I mean, if I didn't even have enough product to match the amount that I would spend monthly on rent. And so then that fear kind of kicked in, where it's like, can this work? Like, is everybody right? Because a lot of my friends were actually doubting the idea from the beginning. They were like, dude, it's never going to work. Which, of course, with my skater mentality, like, the more you doubt me, the more I want to do it, like. And so, yeah, every time they told me it wasn't going to work, I was like, it's going to work. I know it's going to work. Of course, there was fear there, but if I didn't have that reason to prove that it can work, I think I would have given up real quick. So when I realized that rent was almost impossible at that time, I started thinking of other ways I could sell products, right? Like going to like art shows, like a city, like city events, and like setting up a booth. And then I was like, well, if I do that, how am I going to do it? I'm going to need a table. And then I was like, wait, a van, and so it was like the greatest eureka moment, because I started thinking about the vans, and then I found the Honda Element, which the doors open to the side. So it's not a super van, but it's also not like a car. Like, I could still use it, and like, it still looks cool, but it also still looks like a shop. And the way the doors open, like, whenever I would go to the skate groups, I would open the back, and it would open like that, right? And everything was right there. And the sides, anyways, the element helped me out. God, dude, I think maybe for like a year and a half after that. So I worked out of my van for like a year and a half, to the point where I could afford to pay rent and have all this back here.
So that's when you transitioned into your brick and mortar shop across the street, pretty much from Eisenberg's used to be.
Yep.
How big is that retail space? Obviously not big enough to store all your stuff you have, but how much, when you first moved into the store, how much inventory did you actually have?
God, dude. I also, another funny thing, like for anybody who's thinking about opening their own shop, you know, it is a process, right? Like, and you have to, the fun part about the process is just like skating, is coming up with different ways to achieve your goals, right? And when I first started the shop, I didn't have a display case. I probably had like maybe 20 pairs of skates. And I actually unboxed the skates, and I didn't have very many shelves either. So it was perfect. Like, I would put some skates on display, like the left and the right skate, like on different parts of the store. And then I would stack the boxes underneath, so the empty boxes looked like there were more skates in there. And then you had a full shop.
That's pretty clever.
It worked for a little bit, dude. Then oh my God, then it turned into this funny joke that me and my friends had. We even made like funny garage band songs called "If We Don't Got It, We Can Order It," right? And there was these whole slew of songs that everybody came up with, because that was a thing. Like, if I didn't have it, I would still write down the customer's name and number, and I would give them all the information that they needed as well. And to the point where they wanted to get the skates from me. And it worked, actually, because I wanted to give them the skates. So the customer would be patient with me and waiting, and I would give them a good deal. And then I would also like expand my my variety of skates that I carried. It still kind of works that way, to be honest. Like, I'm still expanding in these ways.
How difficult was it for you to open some accounts with different companies as a new store?
Not not too difficult. I guess like the most difficult part was like placing minimum orders, right? Like, some of them did like tell me like it would have to be, I'll just say $1,000, over $1,000, right? To be able to work with them. And then on top of that, like making the shipping worth it. But as far as like contacting them, wasn't too bad. I have been skating for a long time, and I did get to meet a lot of people that made it a little bit easier, but all in all, not that bad. I got lucky in a lot of ways.
So you started mainly with big wheel skates, but you said you did have razors in the beginning as well.
Yeah, razors were the first aggressive skates that I carried, but
And
it did take some time.
so it was razors and Flying Eagle. And what do you carry now for inline skates? And you also carry quad skates. What quad skates do you carry?
So as far as quad skates go, it's all through Powerslide, Kaya, Chaya or Kaya. I do want to carry Moxie one day, for sure. But just for now, it's Kaya as far as quad skates go. For fitness skates, I've stuck with Powerslide, Seba, and FR. I've done some Rosies. Once again, it's like my mentality, you know, like I got kind of stuck in these funky ways, to where like I feel like Seba, FR, and Powerslide have kind of stuck with skating for a long time and kind of pushed the sport. Like, you know, rollerblade is a great skate, but I feel like they're very bland, you know, like they're just kind of selling stuff to customers. And K2, of course, is another one of those just like big kind of corporate brands. I have been thinking about selling rollerblade and K2 recently, just because like it's nice to have more variety, and then kind of juggling when and how quick you can get stuff. Like, but my store is small. So as far as like having a small store, it helps me stick with companies that I trust, you know, that I personally would skate myself. I would like, you know, to support.
And you started doing, I mean, you've been selling online since the beginning, but how is your online sales compared to in-person sales?
I mean, I get them like, I would say, I mean, if I'm gonna say a percentage, like, I don't know, maybe 25 to 30% of my sales is online. Everything else is in person. That's what's really helped me and us, like everybody who's worked in the store, is the personality that we're bringing to the table. So like my store is in downtown Plano, close to where Eisenberg's was. Um, but that area is like it's kind of like a little poppin', like urban younger person area. So like if you know, if you're gonna go hang out somewhere, that's one of the hangout places. So I've had a lot of people just walking down the street come in and buy a pair of skates randomly. The first time it happened, I honestly I couldn't believe it. And now it's just a thing. So um yeah, I've used a lot of different like ways to make it work. Um like a storefront and bringing in people that have no idea about skating. Like I'll share all the information I can. Uh, what's up, Kiba? This is my dog, Kiba. He skates with me all the time. He's a CEO. He's got his hands crossed.
That's funny.
He's dope. Um, so like, uh, giving them information. For example, someone comes into the store and they're an aggressive skater. By the time they leave, they don't just have a pair of aggressive skates. They've gotten information from me, like who also aggressive skates, but I also link them up to DFW rollerbladers, so they have someone to skate with, so they can link up with other aggressive skaters. Now I don't do this as much anymore, but I was giving a free lesson with the purchase of skates, mainly to fitness skaters or, you know, brand new skaters. It just got really busy with that. So now, like, in some cases I do, in other cases I give a really good discount. Either way, like the lessons are cheap compared to what most people would charge. But that's another guarantee that someone's gonna fall in love with this sport. Like, I feel like I've broken the process of skating down to like the most minimum, to where I can sell the skates and people trust it.
How many people work for you or work in the shop?
2. Right now it's 2. I think I've had 3 people before, and it's funny because the shop is small, but you know, it's a small shop and it is skating, so the pay isn't amazing. And the people that I trust working there are normally my friends, and we're all in our 30s, so it's got to be worth it for everybody. So we kind of alternate shifts. Right now we got 2. Right now we got Tomas and Aaron Gates.
Someone asked, why do you always leave a mess after your shift?
Yeah. Because I am like, when it comes, it's so funny, man. Like when it comes to being in the store, like I'm really, I'm I'm good at talking, but I am so bad at just like working in general. I am all out there. So like let's say last week in particular, this guy came in from Austin. He drove all the way from, I think he said Round Rock. And he's like, I've always looked at rollerblading. I've skateboarded all this time, but I want a pair of aggressive skates. And I was like, all right, dope. You know, like, what do you want? And he goes, I don't know. And I was like, and I just broke all the skates down to him, right? And he's like, do you mind if I try some? I was like, no, dude, actually try every single skate on. So he did. He tried every single skate on. And then he went back and forth from the Aeons, the Mary Munoz, and the them Moopies in the end, right? He tried on Rosie's, he tried on Razors SLs. Anyways, he was there for like, I think no less than an hour and a half, right? He was there probably longer, which is fine. But then people started coming in, and I give the same service to everybody else. So if you can imagine, like I want everybody, I want everybody to leave happy, but I also don't want to have to deal with like people coming back and saying, I didn't like this, I don't want that. Like the return process, like, is one thing, but just like thinking no one's gonna enjoy skating is another, right? So anyways, yeah, dude, like I'm like a tornado in there. When people come in, they're like, I want this. I'm like, yeah, I give it to them. I give them whatever they want. Like for roller skates and inline skates, but roller skates are a great example, which happened to me that day as well. The girl liked the roller skates, but she wanted to skate outdoor mainly. And they come with a hybrid indoor only wheel. So at the same time of dealing with a bunch of customers, I'm changing out the wheels on these roller skates, and I'm still selling them at the same price. So by the time it's all said and done, the last thing I want to do is clean up.
Well, there we have it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good excuse.
Yeah. It's a good, hey, I've been thinking about it for days.
Now you're the only inline skate shop in Texas. How many people do drive there from other cities, like the guy that came from Round Rock? Because I tell people all the time, like in the Austin groups that ask for skates, to drive to Plano. So I'm curious, how many people actually do drive all the way to Plano?
A lot. Like I've had people drive in from Louisiana, Oklahoma. Like a couple people drove in from Oklahoma. I've had a lot of people drive in from Austin. And it's not like the funny thing is it's not my friends, right? It's not people that I know. It's random people. So like, yeah, people will recommend them or tell them like, yeah, there's this shop in Dallas that sells aggressive skates in particular, right? Because I'm the only one that sells aggressive skates. And or like fitness skates. Yeah, I get quite a bit of people coming in from Austin, Oklahoma, and then Louisiana is the funniest one to me. Like that's a long ass drive, but people want a place to put their feet in a pair of skates and then get good information too. Like, there's Dick's Sporting Goods and Academy. And a lot of people who come into the shop will tell me, yeah, I was just at Dick's and they tried to sell me this rollerblade, but they didn't know anything about it. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's what happens when, you don't go to a real skate shop.
Yeah, I mean, we used to drive from Austin to New Orleans to go skate, so it makes sense that somebody would drive from Louisiana to get some skates.
Yeah, it's cool. Like it's working.
And Dallas has a lot of spots too. They can skate afterwards.
Yeah, so that's another thing. That guy, I told him 3 skate parks to go to on his way out. Oh, and his girlfriend had just bought a pair of skates from Medusa, which is in Austin. It's a roller skate shop. So she got her roller skates, and she was really cool. Like she was pretty patient too, because she had just gone through her process of getting skates. But yeah, I mean, I think it's worth the drive. Like not just because it's my shop, but because the information that people get when they come in there, like it's not, I always give this example. It's not like you buy a pair of skates and then I say, see you later, or see you never. I want to see them again. I want to see them progress. So does everybody else that works at the shop.
What are some things you learned along the way that you wish you would have known at the beginning to make the whole process easier?
All right. Definitely, I mean, I didn't have very many options, but the colors of skates, right? Like not every girl likes a pink skate and not every guy likes a blue skate. Like I bought pink and blue skates and they took forever to sell. Because yeah, I just had these 2 extreme options. Like black and white skates sell the easiest. You can change the laces or whatever, but yeah, that was a cool little mistake. Luckily, because I didn't take out a loan. I know if I would have made this mistake on a larger scale, it probably would have kicked my ass. Organization. I mean, most I guess most people who would open up a skate shop probably skate themselves. And if they do skate themselves, I can imagine they're not the most organized people. Uh, I could be wrong, but it takes a lot of like settling down and saying, hey, this is a real business. I need a POS system. I mean, I like in the beginning, I even had some friends come in from out of town who were like, dude, what? Like, how are you doing this? Like, it was like I was using Cash and Venmo and Zelle. Like, I was just trying to work, like, and then and then uh and then I got the little square thing with the little thing that goes into the audio, right? And running their cards like that in the shop. And uh Mirik from Head on Skate came and visited Texas and swung by the shop, and he was like, dude, you're doing great. Like, but man, you got to get organized. And he's like, you need a POS system at least. I got the POS system, and boom, I could see like how it's going and all that. So yeah, like if anything, I probably should have done a little bit of research on how to run a business.
Oh, you did pretty good. You're still around.
Yeah, it did, like it worked out.
Is there any shops or brands or people in blading that have inspired you in your business?
Yes, for sure, Eisenberg's, right? Like, I mean, like they helped me out a lot. Like summer camps, right? I was teaching at summer camps. I was allowed to hang out behind the counter. I saw the way they did the whole thing, right? They were awesome. Like never held back on sharing anything with me. And then Mirik with Head on Skate, 100%. Like when I went to Europe, I went to Poland 3 or 4 times, and I got to see them go through 2 different shops. I think at least 2 different shops, maybe 3. And the way that he viewed and tackled rollerblading and owning a business, I really look up to him, to Mirik. And then my friend Carlos from Peru, who like pretty much inspired everything. He helped me out a lot. Yeah, I would say those 3 were like where I kind of morphed myself from. And then the help that I've gotten on the side, like Matt Mickey, has definitely like thrown customers my way, where they call me and they're like, hey, Matt or Intuition Skate Shop recommended us to you. Same thing with Inline Warehouse. They've thrown some customers my way.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
it's cool because like when they did that, then I started doing my business in that way of like, if I don't have something and I can't get it fast enough, I'm gonna recommend them to other shops, right? Like I don't want them to buy skates from me so bad that this person is just gonna lose that itch to skate. Because some people do. Some people come in that day, and if they don't buy their skates that day, they're probably never gonna buy skates again.
Do you think there's room for more shops in Texas?
For sure. Yeah. I like it's kind of bittersweet, of course, because I know it could take away from some of my sales. But yeah, I think like as long as it doesn't become like one of those competitive things, I think it would be perfect. The more people skating and the more people that continue skating, the more people that are going to buy skates, right? Like I remember in the beginning, I would always say this like out loud to everybody, like especially when people would talk about new companies starting, right? Like some people would get so flustered about a new company starting. On Roller News, this would happen a lot, where they would say like, why are you starting another wheel company, or why are you starting another this company? And then I would think, why do you care? Like, you guys are fighting over crumbs. Like, you guys are fighting over what's already here instead of creating something that should be there, right? Like, if I can bring 50 more rollerbladers into skating, that's 50 more customers for every shop. And if that shop is doing the same thing, those customers are going to come right back to me. Like that's the way it should work. Like that mentality is so closed off. Like I see a lot of, like right now there's Mesmer, there's Icon, there's Gods, Rollerblade is coming back. I mean, I guess it hasn't really gone anywhere, but you know, like you're starting to see these new brands of skates like pop up, and I think it's great. Like I don't think they're killing our sport, or a new shop would kill the sport, like or kill my shop, as long as everybody's putting their part in to create more rollerbladers. Every shop and every brand has their own, let's say, genre, right? Like for example, Mesmer. I love what they're doing. I think that's amazing. By the way, shout out to Chase Rushing for that design that he has on the bottom of their sole. He's an amazing person, first of all, and an artist, like, and he's so quiet. Like he'll just sit back and just watch everybody enjoy it, which I love. But yeah, like I love Mesmer. I love what they're doing. It reminds me of back in the day, like whenever Shima, whenever the Shima skate was out, like everybody was kind of rockered out, right? And then Razors was like the kind of like I don't know, like hip hop, like that crew. Uh and everybody had their group of people that they were marketing to, right? I think that's amazing. Like if there's a new shop in Texas and they create their own vibe, they're gonna bring a whole new group of people that maybe I couldn't bring in. And some of those people will trickle down to me, and some of my people would trickle to them. There should be more shops actually everywhere. Like in every state, there should be, at least in every state, but yeah, every city. Like I have people that complain about driving from Fort Worth to Dallas or to
Yeah, I mean, the cities are so far apart in Texas that, probably 95% of people that are recommended to go to your shop don't, just because they don't want to drive
yeah,
the 3 or
exactly.
4 hours to your shop. So definitely, I feel like there's room. If somebody wants to open a shop, they should not pigeonhole themselves in aggressive only.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
should have big wheels. They should have quads, because, or even some like, like a SDSF skate shop in Escondido. They
Mhm.
made all their money off frisbee golf, because the skate park and the frisbee golf course were next to each other. Frisbee
Yeah,
golf is what created all their profit to order skate stuff. So,
yeah.
you can go outside of blading. You don't have to do everything, but
No.
you need to have something to support the aggressive side of things.
Yeah, like I mean, look at Julio. Like I saw what was he selling the other day that I just I noticed, like, oh, Mox. I think they're selling Moxie skates
Yeah,
now,
they
and
sell Moxies now. Yeah, they do. And
yeah,
then they sell like Clark shoes and
Clark shoes and other cool little things. Like, why not? I mean, why not? Like, this will bring, like I said, different genres of skaters into our world, which is really what we need. Not just like you said, pigeonhole into aggressive, yeah, or just pigeonhole into like a style also. Like when you do that, I mean, you're exclusive, but you're cutting everybody else out, right? Like uh yeah, this sport has a lot of room for growth if people look at it more like a blank canvas.
are you selling anything non-skate related in your store?
At this moment, no, like, helmets. I do have some well, they're not here. Some longboard wheels that I accidentally bought, that I sold, bearings. I mean, no, nothing really. I have thought, like, of selling, like, something different, like those bungee cords that go from like tree to tree, that those
The slack lines.
slack lines.
Yeah.
I did hit up Niels about his about the protein shakes that he makes, the powder, or the protein powder that sponsors him. Um, but it's still kind of like a slow growth for me, just because I'm limited by the shop. I'm actually finally to the point where I've outgrown the shop. So at this point now, I have been thinking actually of opening shop number 2. I've just been trying to figure out where I'm going to open it, and if it could, well, if I open another one, I wouldn't want to close mine down by accident. You know, I wouldn't want that new shop to close this one down and then just totally mess my
So you would
plan.
have the second shop in the Metroplex of Dallas?
Yeah. Yeah, I would want to do another one far enough away for the people that don't want to drive all the way to Dallas. But it's a hard thing for me to grasp because I've finally gotten myself out of that. I finally gotten myself into the comfort zone. But it's a scary idea for me to take that next step. But I know I need to.
Yeah, if you find a good location with a decent rent, or at least something maybe near like public transportation or something.
Exactly. See, the shop that I have now does. I'm gonna put this my computer on the charger. My shop now is right next to the Dart, but it's just so small, dude. It's like literally. I mean, it's smaller than a bedroom. It's like a long kind of hallway type thing. I had a guy come in on Saturday and was like, "Is this the entrance to the shop?" And I said, "Yep, this is actually the whole shop." And he goes, "Are you serious?" He's like, "I thought this was the hallway." And I was like, "No, this is the shop."
That's hilarious.
It's so funny. But he loved it,
Now,
right? Like he hung out there forever.
how much of your growth do you attribute to COVID?
a lot, a lot of it, to be honest. Like, uh, I didn't see the type of or the amount of customers until COVID, right? Like it was working. I mean, before COVID, I actually had a second job. I was working for Josh Glowicki's brother doing epoxy floors as my part-time job. So I would bounce back and forth from that job to the shop. That whole story is kind of funny because it was all on it also right after I hit my head. Uh, so like, I'm in the hospital. I don't know shit. Like I'm out, right? Totally out. I get back, I get back to the shop, uh, and this is right at the beginning of COVID, right? This was in March. Open the shop up, and then boom, like COVID, uh, supposedly is like, I mean, COVID is shutting down businesses. And maybe I didn't follow a lot of the rules because I just didn't give a shit. And yeah, people were bored. Like bikes were selling out. I had Fox News come out and like interview one of the guys that was working at the shop, and I also asked him the same question, like how much do you attribute COVID uh to sales going up? Yeah, I would say a lot, and I think it's really based out of like people maybe getting the second opportunity to enjoy their time outside.
And do you think that trend's going to stick around, or do you think in a year or two people get just back indoors and stop skating?
It's up to us. It's up to us. Like I said, the Facebook groups, right? Like um COVID has done a really good job at isolating some people and getting some people out, right? And I got myself into a few different things besides skating these past years, right? Like I bought a dirt bike, and then I started rock climbing. Um and neither of those stuck because I wasn't really meeting up. I didn't have like a group to meet with, right? So like just doing it alone, and as much as I love it, like, you know, doing you can only do so much alone for so long, right? I think skating can work because rollerbladers are very accepting. If we see another rollerblader, like if I go to the skate park and I see some random aggressive skater, I'm not just gonna let them skate alone. I'm gonna approach them and at least talk to them a little bit, right? And I think most skaters are like that. Whether you're a fitness skater or aggressive skater, like people share like this funky little passion. Yeah, they can bring someone in. So I think if it is gonna stick after COVID, I think we have to do a good job of like creating and maintaining this community that we got.
What's your future goals for carriers? And is there any dreams that you've had that you want to make happen?
Yeah. God, man, I've been bouncing these ideas like back and forth. I just don't know which one to do first. When was it? October. In October, I was looking at warehouses to start a skate park, to open a skate park. And then kind of like the Element, right? Like the Honda Element, my first shop. Reality hits you, and you're like, well, that's too much money to spend a month or a year. How else can I do it? So right now I'm thinking, if I can get a big enough place to be able to give lessons out of, I think it could do a huge, it could maintain what I've already got going on, and hopefully progress into a skate park. A skate park is like the dream.
So Gabe Holm in Boston, he does a thorough skate shop. He does a lot of lessons, a lot. And then he outgrew his shop. He does more than just inline. He does like skateboard and longboard and snowboard too. But he outgrew his space, and so he opened a skate park during COVID. And if you look at his Instagram, you can see every single deck and every single wall in the skate park is boxes, skate boxes. So it's like also his warehouse. So it's like, and he only rents it out for private, like like 10 people at a time type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's easy to maintain, and something like that might not be a bad idea.
No,
like a warehouse slash skate park.
yeah. I mean, for me, like anything, I've missed a few opportunities, by the way. Like I had gone to a place with an agent, found a spot almost like what Ricardo Lino has now. It had like a upstairs and all that, and it was like, the beginning of COVID, or like when I started really seeing progress, and I was still like, I was having the same question that you gave me, which is like, do you think this is going to continue? So I looked at it. The guy gave me a price. It was a good ass price. Right now, I'm kicking myself in the ass by not taking that opportunity, because in Dallas, our real estate has gone up a lot. Like, I mean, houses like have almost doubled in price, and then spaces as well, and business is thriving here. So it's kind of, it's a bittersweet thing. So like business is good, but now like spaces are expensive. But yeah, like, God, dude, like for me right now, like even if I could just set up like the grind box in the space and a part of the space, and then I still have people skate back and forth inside the shop, but it's so uncomfortable for me and them. For me, because the space is small. For them, because they have so much stuff to run into. But yeah, like, God, that would be amazing. Like warehouse slash something to grow into would be so sick.
Have you seen, like, there's a skate shop that was in Tennessee, Asphalt Beach. They got destroyed in a tornado a couple years ago, but they were around for a long time. They just reopened. Their new store is really cool. It's a pretty big space, and it actually has a painted track where people could skate around in a circle in the middle of the store, and then so the whole middle of the store is empty, and then everything's on the walls. It's super cool. You should check that out. I'll send you a link to it. You can check it out.
Close. Yeah, send me a link, because that I draw this stuff on paper, right? Here's another thing. Like, I know it's like not crazy or anything, but bringing things into reality involves writing them down. For me, if I don't write it down, it's not going to happen. I love checking stuff off my list. So when I was thinking about the skate park, I drew it and taped it to the wall at the shop, and it has a track around it.
It's cool. Yeah, you like this then.
It's so sick,
Asphalt Beach. So yeah, it's a cool shop. It's been around, but they used to do a lot of Razors tours. Would go through there. I think they had a skate park back in the day.
Damn.
Now I want to move on to the last topic, which is injuries. and you've had a fair share of injuries throughout your career. The most severe being at the Pow Wow when you hit your head. Now, how bad was that injury? How long were you in the hospital? And how long was the recovery period?
Okay. It was really bad. Like really, really bad. I'm excited to finally share some of this, some of the stories. I still have the video on my phone. Like I found who recorded it. Now, I think the people that got it the worst were my friends and family, because in reality, I wasn't there, right? Like I don't remember anything except for waking up one day and realizing that I've been there for, I think it was like 2.5 weeks, let's say. And I had been like I was talking to invisible people. So I had like these invisible friends that I would point to my mom. I had a invisible daughter. Weird. Like, and then I would go into like being myself and recognizing everybody. And then I would go into these tantrums of like, I would rip out my IVs and I would take off running. I thought that I was kidnapped at one point. So I was accusing everybody of like kidnapping me. It was from what I like, yeah, from what I hear, I was a huge pain in the ass, right? When I woke up, or when I actually came to, I remember I saw my mom in the hospital, and I kept thinking I was in Dallas or in Austin whenever they would ask me like, do you know where you are? I'd say in Austin. I for some reason I kept asking for my friend Troy, who lives in Austin now, right? Because I knew I was at a skate competition. Anyways, when I looked at my mom and I was like, "Hey, mom, we can still make it to that competition. Let's go." And she's like, "Well, Fritz, it's Tuesday." And I said, "Shit, I missed the competition." Well, at least at least it hasn't been that long. And she's like, "No, it's been like 2.5 weeks." Like, and I was like, "No fucking way," right? Then the reality hit, but it was funny to me because I still didn't know how severe this whole thing was. And then they had me like do these like tests, like I had to do like memory quizzes with the nurses. Like we would walk around and we would like make these stories. It was a long process, and I knew that they did not believe that I was actually awake, like that I was actually there. It was weird because my mom, I knew there was something wrong, but now that I look at it, she had just run out of tears. Like she was just, I had accepted that I was going to stay like this. The doctors told my mom to yeah to look out that I might not ever be the same again. I had, I think, 2 fractures in my skull and 3 blood clots and internal bleeding. So all my blood was going in my head. So like at one point my eyes were swollen, my face was swollen. They thought they thought I busted the front of my face. And then since it was COVID, that's another story. It's a really extreme story, but anyways, like my sister came there. She found me throwing up blood, and I was like in a mixture of a whole bunch of empty beds, so they had forgotten about me. Didn't have an insurance card, so they didn't rush me. They didn't know what to do with me. Anyways, like when my sister asked them uh what was wrong with me, um and then she had to threaten them to sue them if they didn't show her my papers, then they rushed me to ICU, because then they finally looked. And long ass story, but yeah. So yeah, finally I come back to, and they let me leave, and they linked me up with a neurologist here in Dallas. I still wasn't really understanding how crazy this was, until I started getting the headaches, and I had to inject myself with blood thinners, uh, three times a day. I had to inject my belly. which was painful. I had bruises all over the place. Then I couldn't sleep, so I had to get like blackout drapes for my room. Anytime the light touched my eyes, I would wake up. I was sleeping 2 or 3 hours a day. At one point, I didn't believe that. At one point, I thought that I had died. Like, and this is after being out of the hospital. So I would touch textures of the house or of my car to say, okay, this really exists. I'm really here. And the recovery process was weird. After I got home, it was about 6 months until they let me rollerblade. Well, they didn't even let me rollerblade. They just said after 6 months I could do activities again as long as I was careful with my head. And then I think 9 months in, I started aggressive skating again.
So how long did it take you? Well, did you have any problems with like motor function skills with any parts of your body at all, or was it just mainly in your just brain injury?
Yeah, motor functions, not really. Oh, yeah, I was getting vertigo, and I still get vertigo every now and again. I had vertigo almost every day. Just like standing up real fast or even laying down was weird because even if my eyes were closed, I felt like the room was spinning. Yeah, I actually didn't think the vertigo was gonna go away because they told me I bent a tube somewhere here in my ear that causes vertigo, and I also don't have a sense of taste and smell still to this
Wow.
day. Yeah, I can't.
How's that? I mean, do you eat different now?
Yeah, I do. Actually, for about 7 months, I did a whole vegetarian diet because I just really couldn't taste anything, right? I, and I I'm kind of go back and forth from it. So like if I see anything good veggie based, I'll eat it. I'm trying to go back into that. Smell is crazy though. Like not being able to smell is really weird. Like I've had people open up like barbecue grills and I can't even smell the smoke. It's just all gone. Taste, I can taste sugar, I can taste salt, I can taste sour, but it's just the very basics. But yeah, taste and smell is totally gone.
That's crazy. I mean, you got such a bad injury,
Yeah.
so at least it's just taste and smell right now.
Yeah.
You could still be in a condition you were when you were in the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I feel pretty blessed. I also once again feel pretty spoiled too, because like I said, the people who really suffered the most were my friends and family because they were worried. I didn't know I was there or not there. So it's a really crazy process.
Did you just snap one day from like back into
Yeah.
normal
Yeah.
Fritz?
Yep.
Like, do you remember that day? Like,
Yeah. It was the day I looked over at my mom. She was sleeping on the little chair. And I asked her, what am I doing here? Why are we here? We should leave as soon as possible because they're probably charging the shit out of us. And then yeah, it was fully me. And then having to like it was weird because I didn't know how long I didn't know how long I was like that. I thought it was like the next day. So having to convince everybody that I was okay was hard. They had me on a censored bed. So if my back would come up above a certain point, the sensor would come off and the nurses would come in because they knew I was probably trying to run away.
so the cost of that had to be enormous being in the hospital for so long.
Yeah.
How's that affected you?
Um, it's been all right. Like Josh created a GoFundMe that helped out a lot. The cost in total was around $500,000.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, pretty
Crazy
much.
system we have, isn't it?
Dude,
They won't even see you right away at the hospital, and then you gotta pay $500,000, and you have a crazy injury.
yeah. It's enough to really piss you off. Like on some of the bills I called and was able to just completely get out of them. I still have some that like randomly call me, uh, and some that I paid that they still call me. It's a huge pain in the ass, but uh, I'm I'm definitely okay with that now. But it was a process.
Do you feel like the same person from before your injury, or has your personality changed at all?
No, I'm aware of some things, like definitely, like, man, it's like it's a, once again bittersweet thing, like the idea of dying, never really crossed my mind like that. So now I have, man, I almost have a fear in it, where I want to do as much as I can. Uh, yeah, I just want to do as much as I can, like like enjoy or get as much out of my day as I can every day. But I'm also very frustrated and agitated because of it. Sometimes it almost holds me back. So and this is definitely, I believe, a cause of that injury. Um and then sometimes I get aggravated easier, like um and then skating, as far as skating goes, I get scared easier. So it used to happen before, but not as much as it does now. Like if I hear an ambulance going by, I feel like it's a sign telling me don't go. And I can almost like imagine how I'm gonna fall and all that. Uh which is, yeah, it kind of pisses me off. So like, and then wearing my helmet, like um on Sunday, I was out street skating and I have a truck and I have my helmet in the back of my truck and I thought I saw the pad fly out and I was like, oh great, that's it. There goes my skate session. Because I really can't skate without my helmet. Not aggressive. Like I'll go fitness skating. That's for me, it's still not, that fear isn't there, but aggressive skating, like almost feel sometimes that if I skate aggressive without my helmet, I'm almost asking for it. Like I might gravitate there. It's just fucking weird.
In the COVID sessions edit that you put out, you're skating in that with no helmet.
I was skating in that with no helmet. And I ended up getting a lot of shit from my aunt for not skating with my helmet. And yeah, after that, that's it. Yeah.
So we know, some other skaters have had some head injuries, maybe not as severe as yours, but Mason hurt
Mm-hmm.
himself badly, and Ryan Rasmussen, I was there for his head injury,
Yeah, I was there too.
and Ryan did wear a helmet afterwards for a short period of time, but then quit wearing one, and obviously Mason usually wears one. How important do you think? I mean, even without getting injured, I mean, you wore a helmet Eisenberg's days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do you think people should skate with helmets?
Yeah.
Like with the helmet debate?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, everybody should wear helmets. Like I will say, like you mentioned that edit, right? The COVID edit. That was like a smaller, little ledge, right? Like definitely trust myself more on little things. Like I said, I'll fitness skate without my helmet. I think everybody should know when and where, when and where to wear their helmet, I guess. Like uh in some cases it does seem silly. Like, I mean, I'm just gonna say this, but like I still wear my helmet all the time. But like skating a P rail or something with your helmet on, like back in the day, I would have roasted anybody. I'd been like, "What? You're not gonna hit your head that bad." But I mean, you never know. Like the head is like very sensitive. When people ask me when they come into the shop, like, "What kind of padding do you recommend?" Helmet, like this thing right here, like you can break an arm, you can lose a limb, but if this thing goes wrong, like that's it. Like you're not really going to enjoy anything because you might not even know you're there. I think everybody should have one and know when to wear one. If they can wear it all the time, wear it all the time. But if you're really battling with the idea of, oh, it's not that cool, whatever, like, or if you think it's holding you back, then know that like on something big or dangerous, you should probably consider it more. Like, I mean, everybody can make their own decision, but
Do you think at competitions where there's a high level of skating and dangerous tricks, they should require people to
yeah,
wear helmets?
definitely for liability for sure. Like if we want to go that route, at least like, you know, for a business standpoint for that business owner. But like, yeah, dude, like during a competition, I mean, that's where people like that's where people think the least. That's when they just say, hey, you know what? I am gonna backflip from that quarter to that, I don't know, death pit right there, you know, like gotta wear a helmet. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like, and not just that, but for the young kids watching, like there's so many people watching you that are influenced by you. And if I mean, yeah, like if you trust yourself and you can do a double backflip with no helmet and you know you're gonna land it, great. But think about that kid that's watching you and thinking, yeah, I'm gonna do a double backflip with no helmet. You know, like think about who you're influencing, because this is a sport, and if we want it to grow as a sport, like we gotta start being a little bit more professional. We can start with wearing helmets at the
Yeah,
very
that's a great point. You know, I don't think a lot of or most people realize that they have an impact on other people and just themselves, especially somebody who's a professional and has a fan base and people wanting to be them.
yeah, yeah.
Now, when you were, you know, in the hospital and everything, what was happening with your shop? Was there somebody taking care of it?
We actually, my sister actually closed it, um, because they didn't really know what to do. Maybe I even ran out of products. I don't know. But yeah, it was closed. It closed. Once again, Glowicki, Josh's brother, who also rollerblades. It was one of the guys that I met way back in the day. Dude, he came in and helped out so much. Like I had two people working there at the time, and he paid them. He paid them uh, for their last week or whatever before they had to take that break. Um, my sister didn't know what to do. Plus, I think maybe because of COVID, she just put a sign on the door, and that was it. It was just closed. Yeah. When I came back, I wasn't even allowed to drive. Uh, but that wasn't me. That's my dog snoring. It sounded like a fart. Kiva, wake up, Dad. Yeah, when I got back, I man, yeah, when I got back, I was even having headaches using my computer. But I moved real quick. Like I think a few days or maybe a week after they told me I couldn't drive, I got in my car and I went straight to the shop. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, like no way, I can't lose it right now. Like, and then I hit up my buddy Justin, who was working there at the time, and we came up with a little plan on how to keep this thing going. And yeah, he helped me out a lot.
That's great. You were able to salvage the shop because, you know,
Yeah.
look at it now.
Yeah.
You're doing great things.
Dude, it could have been gone quick. And it honestly, if I would have just kind of like laid back and given up, like, yeah, dude, I would have, yeah, I had no idea. At one point we had a queue, like we had people standing outside of the shop. Like, um, we were having like one customer at a time because of COVID, but we had like 15, 20 people waiting in lines to come into the shop. Yeah, I would have never gotten to experience the success of the shop.
And have you had any other injuries over the past few years you've been working with?
Like after my head injury,
or maybe in between or before?
Yeah.
No, did you have you had surgery or something before?
I had knee surgery. I had a surgery on my meniscus, but God, yeah, this was before my knee or before my head. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have no ACL on my right leg, and my meniscus is torn. That one sucks because my leg hasn't come back from that. Like it's my quadricep is smaller. I can't bend or straighten my knee all the way. And then yeah, like the strength there is just that's why I do a lot of that foam rolling and stretching that I need to do. Because if not, my leg just doesn't function the same.
Have you thought about selling like foam rollers and stuff at the store
That's a
for,
great idea.
for rehabilitation of injuries and things like that?
Dude, I haven't, but that's a super great idea. Because I mean, I got who did I get the idea from? I think it was Glowicki and Nils. Like, and those guys skate amazing. And actually, when I do it works. Simple thing. I would love to do that. I'd love to open like my skate shop on a bigger scale, more like oriented towards that, like fitness and health. Like, okay, you got these aggressive skates. That's cool. You can do that, but how are you going to maintain that? Like how are you going to do this for the next few years, like not just stop after one injury. And it's something that I've had to learn the hard way. But if you yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. Or just the recovery in general.
Who is the most influential person in your life?
My dad. My dad, for sure. Yeah. He has his own business as well. He does granite and marble. And his story is pretty cool. He used to play for the professional Guatemalan soccer team.
Red.
Yeah. So he was like, we're very similar. Actually, if you saw him, you'd be like, dude, y'all look exactly the same. But he's taught me a lot, like, and I'm still learning like every single day from him. He's like a super quiet dude, uh, super patient, and yeah, he's actually like the person that's taught me to kind of like break through those barriers of failure. Like if something bad happens, he'll look at me and say, well, it could have been this way. Just kind of like what you said. You were like, hey, well, your business is still here. It's still going, right? Like I've made so many mistakes where normally a parent would whoop their kid's ass. And his answer to me is, at least you're still alive. At least you're healthy, Yeah, my dad, for sure.
Awesome. Good answer.
Yeah.
Now, Dallas is known for having its own attitude, known as Dalitude.
Yeah.
Tell me about Dalitude and why do people love to say it so much?
Oh man, Dalitude, man. Shit. I feel my Dalitude starting to come out right now. I'm like, yeah, I know it. I know what you're saying, dude. We got that. Dalitude, dude. When it comes to skating, I think for the most part, like we know proper skating. Like at least like like I said, how to start on a rail and how to come off the rail. If you touch the ground, it doesn't count. Both your feet have to land at the same time. Like we would get down like with my group of friends, like we would watch skate videos and we'd be like, that doesn't count, or that's so dope, or if we were watching our own sections, dude, that was horrible. I mean, we would really criticize the shit out of each other. Maybe as far as like creative skaters, like it kind of limited my group of friends, because I mean, but yeah, like yeah, that was the Dalitude. Like I mean, even in Texas, like we would break down some like Austin or San Antonio or Houston guys and be like, that shit didn't count right there, oh, he did a 180, he didn't come out fakey on that. Oh, he touched his finger on the ground, he should have done it again, oh, that was sloppy, like yeah, that's I think that's the Dalitude. And then we kind of, yeah, we did kind of like keep in our group. So like a lot of guys when we would travel would talk shit because we would get our own hotel rooms and we wouldn't go stay at people's houses. Like we were like, nah, we're gonna do it on our own time. We're gonna go here, like yeah, we'd get hotels. That's not that we thought we were better than everybody else, but we would definitely talk our fair share of shit. And we knew. we knew back then, like we had a cool scene.
That's hilarious. I mean, Dalisane's always been fun.
Okay.
That's pretty much going to wrap up the interview. I do have one last question for you, and that is, what do you love so much about rollerblading that you're
Man,
stuck with it most of your life?
that's a very hard one because when I think about it, sometimes it's a love-hate, right? Sometimes I get mad at skating. I'm just like, God, why am I still doing this, right? That's been over 22, 23 years. Yeah, it's over half my life now. Um, I love my friends. I love my friends that I have because of skating. I mean, all my friends skate. I don't have any friends that don't skate, I don't think. Like at least people that I meet up consistently. The things that I like, music, clothing, like it's traveling, almost everything has been has come from skating, right? Like all my opportunities came from skating. What I like, actually, what I like is what it gave me, which is confidence. When I was a kid, I played soccer, I played the guitar, uh, I tried a whole bunch of different things. I was never like the cool guy either. I was like always like somewhat of a dorky, clumsy kid. And then when I started skating, like I gained this like almost like a my alter ego, right? My skating ego, which was I can jump down that crazy rail and not die. Like I can do this and yeah, I think what's kept me into skating is like it's given me this, I don't know, confidence, this thing that I enjoy too. It's not doesn't feel like a job either. So it's like I'm working at something, and now it's the shop is a whole different thing from my skating, but um skating is you work at something so hard that doesn't really give you anything more than just this like quick cool satisfaction, right? Like if you I remember I could spend like the whole day trying one trick at the skate park, and it would take me, I would land it like the process was like 10 seconds of landing that trick, but oh my God, that whole next week or month I'd be like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that. And then I would move on to this other thing that would like pick me up basically. Yeah, that's what I love about skating.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember seeing you as a little kid, at Eisenberg's skating, shredding the place. And it's been cool watching your progression throughout the years. And with the shop now, it's
Thank
all
you.
rad. I'm going to have links in the description below to your shop and social media and some of those video sections we're talking about so people can check those out. I really appreciate you coming on the show and chatting with me, telling your story. It was really fun to hear everything you had to say. And
Thank
I
you.
look forward to seeing you in Dallas sometime, or maybe see you at some event coming up, maybe Miami. We'll see what happens.
Yes, let's make that happen, man. I hope so too. Like I think it'd be super sick. Um, Either Miami or Blade Cup.
Or you can come to Vermont for the Vermont Rampant Camp.
That would be dope. I forgot about that.
Or it's the New England Blade Camp.
That's so
So
sick. Yeah,
5 days of skating, 4 nights of camping.
that sounds sick, dude. That sounds fun. And then Big Wheel Blade for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll keep in touch. I'll talk to you. So, but anyway, I'll say goodbye. It's been a long interview, and take care.
Thank you, dude.
All right. That's part 2 of the interview with Fritz Peitzner. Pretty crazy story about his head injury. I'm glad that he's wearing a helmet, and everyone should consider wearing a helmet as well these days, especially if you're competing or just doing some gnarly tricks, because you never know when you're going to get injured. Thank you for watching this interview. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, hit the bell icon to be notified of all new uploads. I have links to my social media in the description below. I also have a link to my Patreon page. And if you want to support this channel, consider becoming a Patreon member. You'll receive exclusive content not available on this channel, as well as being entered into my monthly giveaways. I also have a link to my donation page in the description below as well. Thanks for watching episode 17 of the Then Now Blading podcast with Fritz Peitzner. We'll see you soon at episode 18.